What's up everyone, Coco Mojo here with another Sub-Rogue VOD review. This was a 20 DOS run that I did on the more recent Tyrannical Week. And it's one of the first keys where I have my 4-piece set bonus as Sub-Rogue. And I gotta say, it's a ton of fun. As a reminder, the set bonus is whenever you use a finisher, there's a chance per combo point to Shadow Strike up to 5 nearby targets. And so what it means in effect is you'll just be getting extra free damage and combo points, and then also applying long duration find weaknesses to all of these nearby targets. So one of the things that you can hear in this video is this chomping sound cue, and this is a weak aura that I made and added that will trigger whenever there's either back-to-back Shadow Strikes or Shadow Strikes right after an Eviscerate. And what I'm trying to do is get better about spending these procs appropriately instead of overcapping on combo points. I'm definitely getting more and more used to Weapon Master, so that's good. And this is helping me a little bit with that. But the big problem is in AoE, I have this habit of just mindlessly alternating between builder and finisher, because that's worked so well for me so far. It's like the core part of the rotation for AoE. But now that we have these procs that give us extra combo points, doing back-to-back finishers is really the move. We really want to be spending those combo points and not overcapping on them. So the big problem is when I'm in AoE and I'm looking for kicks, and I'm like looking mostly at nameplates or my my focus target uniframe. I'm not really looking at my combo points because historically it hasn't been a problem. So I added this this sound cue. So when I'm looking at the nameplates, like right now you can see I'm looking. So the blue circle is my eye tracker, and it's showing you where I'm looking on my screen while I'm doing the key. And so you can see I'm mostly looking at cooldowns and I'm mostly looking at the nameplates. In this case, there's like not a lot of kicks. There's like the Barkbinder kicks that we want to get if possible, but we also have Mass Dispel. We have the Shaman, so we can purge those if need be. And a big pull like this, it's really not the end of the world if they go off. But for instance, like Gambit, when we're fighting the Murlocs, there's like tons of things we want to kick and stop, and looking at combo points is not great, because I need to be tracking all of the stops that I'm assigned. I just kind of overcapped on combo points there. That was a little unfortunate. I just took a lot of sanguine damage too. Well, I high rolled a little bit there. That was kind of sick. I had like 3 back-to-back procs. But yeah, basically at this point, I'm training myself to, whenever I hear the chomp, just do a finisher, because one of two things happened. Either I got a Weapon Master proc, and I'm in single target, and so in that case it's as though I casted 2 Shadow Strikes, because I did, and I'll have enough combo points to do a finisher. Or I am getting a 4-piece proc, and in single target, that's equivalent to a Weapon Master proc. But in AoE, it's like as though you just used a builder, right? Like you're gonna have full combo points if you have 3 or more targets. So I really need to be good about spending those procs. Oh, here's the Urn pull. I get a little aggro on that guy, but pull him into the D&D. And now we are just in our full AoE rotation. I send my Whispering Scythe, or whatever it's called, Spectral Scythe, through all the mobs. That trinket's kind of cool, actually. I've really been enjoying it. It's really good for damage amp phases in a lot of dungeons. Oh, there we go. 2 back-to-back procs feels good. Really good for damage amp phases. It's like critting for like almost 200k at times. And the trick is to, have Agipot popped, right? We want to be buffing our stats as much as possible during those amp phases. And then also making sure we're using the trinket after using either a black powder or eviscerate. and because that's going to give us deeper daggers, and it's going to be a pretty big shadow damage buff, and the Whispering Scythe is uncapped AoE and does shadow damage. It does like a big chunk of direct damage to your target, and then we'll do uncapped AoE to everything behind your target. So you'll sometimes see me repositioning around a pack in order to hit a mob with the Scythe, and then deal damage to everything behind it. But I think the rest of this wing is like pretty much on rails at this point. The huge urn pull, which was pretty big, is it's over now. At this point, we're just cleaning up the remaining trash, pulling all of these stealthed mobs as we walk around here. And I'd like to see me get my flag out here at some point. Okay, got it on the bark binder. What the hell? That's that was three or four procs in a row. When you get lucky like that, it's kind of insane. Like the damage is like it's really fun. It adds a reactive component to sub that just didn't really exist before outside of Weapon Master, and it definitely is a ton of fun. Oh, so here's one tip. Probably a lot of folks know this, but these hatchlings, if you're new to running keys in Shadowlands, you want to make sure that you're CCing those hatchlings and killing them before they let off that frightened cry. That frightened cry will pull all of the matriarchs nearby, which I guess we want to pull anyway. But it's also going to pull additional blade beaks, and they will enrage. So you really don't want the hatchling to pull it off that cry. This matriarch, I should have checked MDT and known that we were going to pull this matriarch. If I had been paying closer attention, I would have saved my flag for this matriarch. So I ended up putting it on like a bark binder or a moth or some random mob like that, and that additional funnel onto the matriarch would have been more value. And luckily, our warlock pressed Tyrant and did huge damn to that matriarch. But if you're pulling the matriarch, you definitely want to be looking for funnel opportunities there. Just casually checking the damage meters, don't mind me. Really enjoying the new tier set. It's the power spike is crazy. It's, I guess, about what I expected, and I had pretty high expectations for what this would do for sub rogue, and it has definitely been delivering. And I still kind of suck at using it, if I'm being perfectly honest. Well, it looks like we're pulling in these bark binders for funnel on the boss. This boss turns into an absolute clusterfuck. Ultimately, we end up like 4-banning it. But here, I want to see what my opener is here. Oh yeah, that's sweet. Okay, so I don't hate that opener. It was basically flag into a bunch of shuriken storms, and then kind of a late shuriken tornado. So this is the problem. I am not paying attention, and I get put asleep by the curse. We're not really decursing, and so now our healer is like kind of behind. And let's see, I didn't use anything there. I still have health stone and a health pot, so that was probably a mistake. I procced my cheat death. And at this point, I'm like, this is just an absolute clusterfuck. So our tank can AMS and I use Cloak to live this. And now we're like, just kill this Vi. Get this Vi out of here. We didn't really want Vi to begin with. And luckily I get procs on procs on procs. And I'm able to help kill that Vi. But basically now we get to the jump pad a little late, and it kills 2 of us. And so we have 2 B-reses, and our shaman has Ankh. We're waiting until after this contrivance. And then I get a B-res from the DK. And the shaman Ankhs. But he, like, died instantly. And now I want to be getting my Slice and Dice up. Okay. Not awful. So now our shaman has a... Our shaman has a B-res, and this is crazy. He accepts it right after and dies. So, like, I guess the takeaway here is it's almost like the last boss of this dungeon, where when they're doing the Master of Death animations, you have to make sure that we, don't go into the area where he was doing the animation until like a second or so after the animation is complete, because you'll get hit by the Master of Death, and that actually happens later on during the last boss, where like we're kind of chilling and we're thinking we're in good shape, but our tank ends up getting hit by the Master of Death and then Soul Crusher back to back, and just like instinctively death strikes to keep himself alive. But at this point we're feeling pretty stable. Our priest is almost out of CDs. We have a tyrant coming up. I'm gonna take this lightning from the tank. Then I take... And what do I do there? Healthstone and Health Pot, because I'm kind of low. I give it back to our healer, and that was definitely a mistake. I should have given it to the Warlock. The Warlock is very tanky, and I don't think he's had a single one of these, the lightning even once. And now I get it again, and I should have ran away because our tank was close to the Warlock. And now at this point I'm thinking I'm giving it to the Warlock. Warlock needs to take. Look at him. He's so tanky. He like doesn't even notice he's got the lightning on him right now. And now as long as I don't get... Okay, so our tank got the lightning. This fight was absolute chaos. I have no idea how I still did 10k DPS in this fight. It was unreal. And I wish I had a fight timer, because it was a long fight. That had to be at least a 4-minute fight. But now we're going to get a little bit more count, and we're going to try to get the woe, so we can just be speedy while we run through the hall. I'm going to skip ahead because it's not all that exciting. We're basically just running ahead. But now we're going to do this pack that's right outside. This pull also turns into kind of a clusterfuck. But here's what I'm doing. I'm getting flag on the Death Speaker, then I get Slice and Dice, and then I get into Shuriken Tornado, and then I'm just doing Black Powder. And I think on a Fort Week, it's better to eviscerate this Death Speaker because it has so much more HP than the other mobs, but on Tyrannical Week, it's not that crazy, and I can more or less get the funnel I need by putting flag on him and then having him targeted with melees. But like, the floor is lava. Like, look at this place. Like, I have no idea if I'm safe. I'm I'm trying to save Cloak because I know that we have the Enraged Spirit coming up. Someone calls that the Enraged Spirit is coming right now. So I throw out a Distract, but we make the mistake of kiting the cultist over the sanguine, and he's still alive. And I'm like, I'm gonna swap to the spirit because the spirit needs single target damn, and it needs it now. But that means that the cultist is dropping Dark Lotuses, and people are getting hit by them, and it's just absolute pandemonium. But we lose a lot of damage here. Luckily, our priest is Angel POV, but now, so I faint. What do? I faint, and I should health pot or health stone. There's a health stone. Okay, so we live that with faint. Faint is actually a broken button. Such a short cooldown. What is it? A 15-second cooldown, and costs next to no energy with the conduit, and is a 40% AoE DR. Absolutely broken. The only problem is when you're in the middle of your cooldowns and one of your 8 globals is faint. I hate that. If it lines up and you can faint right before getting into your CDs, that's better, but faint has such a short duration that you pretty much are going to have to press it right before the damage comes out. So, kind of a small pull just to get us started. But at this point, you know, we want to kill the small guys while the warlords are pretty high HP. We want to make sure that the warlords aren't getting huge sanguine healing value. We want to make sure that the small guys are dying, and then we are we're not getting those guys healed up too much. Here I'm just like, I'm killing the like, we know that these warlords are kind of trucking our tank. They're pretty tough, even on a tyrannical week. And so I soothe the low one. Again, this is probably a mistake because I miss one global and I get a 23 stack flag. And I decide to tank the Reaver, and that procs my cheat, which is, it feels bad. Again, there's like just so much just shit on the floor that's so hard to see sometimes. It's a little unreasonable, but it is what it is. That was definitely my mistake. So here's what I like to do on this guy. We're gonna pull him and this one lone headless client together. But basically what I do is I always plan to cloak right before Haywire finishes casting, so I have cloak for the whole channel, and then while everyone else is AFK, I can be doing 14k single target dam to this guy. And so, yeah, between me and the... What the hell? Our Warlock is popping off. He must have come in here with imps. That was crazy. So much damage. Even though he was AFK for the whole first the whole first Haywire, he still pops off like that. But that as a rogue is like really high value, because if you're gonna be killing these drills, they're awful. They're very slow. You want to try to skip them. Honestly, in hierarchies, you want to try to skip them. This sucks. I'm in my cooldowns, and I notice that we pull in those little explodey guys like a little bit too late, and so I lose all of my flag value. I'm like kind of triggered at this point. That was a feels bad. And for some reason my Door of Shadows isn't working. But it's okay. We got the woe. I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna press the buttons, do a little dam. And another tip, when you're fighting this pack, when the headless clients spin up, press evasion. I'm not really doing it here. I think I do it at some point. I should be pressing evasion at some point. Maybe there's just not enough of them, but when you're in all of these guys and they're spinning, the evasion is definitely the move. So we're gonna come up here. We're gonna turn off Frogger. If you're an engineer, you can just press that button, turn that off, and then we're actually gonna skip everything here. We just don't fight any of these mobs. Really, all we want to do is replay Ardenweald over and over again. I think at one point I actually suggest that we remake the key and go 19 and just go back into Ardenweald, because it's pretty fun. It's definitely really satisfying. So I try to get a little bit of prio into Ur. And here we're just gonna kill this Ur, because like the big problem in this boss is that the like we have like a specific place we need to stand, and then the Ur is like denying that area, and so that's pretty tough. So I see flag is coming up, and I also know that the next boss is more scary than this boss. So we get tricks, I vanish, get a high duration Phi weakness, flag, rupture, and then we get into our rotation. And one of the things I'm trying to do now is be better about pressing Shuriken, Tornado, and single target. And I'm pretty happy with that. I probably should have used Cloak there, because I got targeted by that guy, and then it did over half my HP with the Shadow Fury. I think I cloaked this, yeah. Because this hurts. If you get hit by the Shadow Fury and then 1 or 2 ticks of the chicken barrage, like that is almost certain death. So here I see that I've got flag coming up, so I'm going to sit at high combo points. We should be flag, and then I rupture, and then symbols and shadow dance, and I use my scythe trinket. We get lined up here. Now I would like to see myself, okay, there's a refresh of the slice of dice. I think I could have waited a little bit longer. Yeah, I definitely could have waited a little bit longer and refreshed that slice and dice a little bit later. I think I had one more global that I could have spent in my flag to do a little bit more dam. And this, we had killed the... We killed the other guy. Or got him to 10%, where he's now out of the fight. And we're a little worried about this one. But I see that he has 11%. And so I'm holding... I end up holding damage. Because I know that next we have another Enraged Spirit. So we get up here. I distract. We're all grouping up. And then this one is a lot of fun too. You can kind of funnel off of these masks when they spawn. And I press cloak there, and I probably didn't have to press cloak, but like, I mean, part of this damage that you're seeing here, that 19k, is a little bit of pad on the on those masks, but like that mob got absolutely annihilated. Like the set bonuses are crazy, and if you can get funnel value off of those masks, it's actually kind of sick. I should be getting into... Okay, so I let my symbols of death stay on cooldown for a little too long, I think. I'd like to see me use flag, but hopefully not on that Death Speaker. Okay, so I do it on the Bone Soldier. I don't hate that. I get booped by a Storm and then land in a Dark Lotus. That sucks. I also pull threat from that Bone Soldier that I put flag on, so I end up using evasion to just tank him for a second. I know our tank is mostly focused on Sanguine management, which he's done, frankly, an excellent job of this whole week, and so I know I can just live with that mob on me with evasion. So this haul also ends up being scuffed. We like apparently tried to like brick this key the entire time. We tried to do a fear, and it didn't actually hit that one mob. So I end up hitting it with Kidney Shot, and it only gets off one Blood Nova. And then I get booped by a Storm while I'm in the puddle, and then get hit by the Like, what the hell? And I see I have flag coming up, so I'm sitting on these high combo points. I get the flag. I don't spend my combo points before getting into Shuriken Tornado, so that's a pretty big mistake. But at this point, I'm literally salivating. Like, this is a decent pull size for sub. Four targets is like honestly the bare minimum. And I know that I have like a lot of damage, and it feels pretty satisfying. So one thing I like to do on non-sanguine weeks is try to stop these blades as best I can. The Deathwalkers doing their Blade Storm. I mean, he's stun DR, so can't actually do anything with that. But I think we end up with another. So like this is the other problem. He's Sanguine healing. We have the Blade Storm, but then we end up using Gore Fiends. But then the Deathwalker dies, and then all of the small mobs are now getting Sanguine healed, and so we get at least one that turns into Son of a Car, and I should be putting Prio into that other small one, but I'm like, this is chaos. I should Kidney Shot that. Okay, so I Kidney Shot the Son of a Car. Like, the big problem with them is they will do pulsing AoE damage, and every time they deal it, they gain a stack, right? The same mob that comes out during a Car boss fight. And every stack, they do more damage, and they cast it faster and faster. And so you really want to be killing those mobs. Even on the boss fight, it's really important to, like, if you're fixated by one of those mobs, come in to the boss and try to make sure that those mobs are near the boss so they can die to cleave. And even in some cases, like, you're probably going to see it in this upcoming boss fight, I'm going to be pressing a decent amount of black powder, because those adds are what makes the fight difficult, right? The blood barrier makes the fight take a long time, and it does quite a lot of damage, but the adds are what's going to kill your team. If they're allowed to just stay up and fixate in melee players, and then they're doing the pulsing AoE damage, it is not good. So I blind that guy, and we somehow stop the other one. Yeah, so on Sanguine Week, it's like mob control as a rogue is made really difficult because you have so many stuns, right? And that's like your main form of mob control outside of kick. And so not being able to safely stun mobs and not get them to full heal in a Sanguine puddle is really rough. But so we do flag, then rupture, then shuriken tornado, then press all of our keybinds for everything else. And now we are just bursting. And so here's a little bit of black powder. I should have pressed faint there. I got a few back-to-back procs. And I should be pressing Shadow Dance. I did a lot of that outside of Shadow Dance, so that was definitely a mistake. There's I pressed Cloak there, trying to not take damage from the blood barrier. And it lets me stand in the puddle for a little while. And I end up stunning that son of a car again. Again, if we can stun those Sons of a Car, then they're not doing the pulsing damage, and it makes the fight so much safer. Of course, you're trading off boss damage for control, but... And I think I used Health Stone, Crimson Vial, and Health Pot there. And I was still left with pretty low HP, but... I'm getting some decent procs. And our enhancement shaman is running this this single target build in this key. And his his overall is pretty low, but his boss dam is like really good. So it's and it's like sustained boss damage. I think this is one of the... This ends up being kind of tricky during the ad phase of the final boss because we need burst damage, and he's really mostly sustained damage. But yeah, it's we're definitely experimenting with different compositions. Like, we have a fair amount of flexibility in our team comp to be able to adjust our damage profiles. Aside from me, I feel like I'm the least flexible actually out of all of our teammates, but it's been a lot of fun. So we really want to get because this is going to let us use some CDs on this boss at the very beginning. So basically, it's 1 minute from when you start the boss to when you go into the first intermission. So you could use 1 minute cooldowns pretty much right away. And when this dies, this is going to let us... I think at this point I just hold my flag. But I could probably safely get away with using it. But I'm thinking I really want to be able to just blow up my ad. So I'm sitting on all of my damage. The only thing that I use is a Shadow Dance. But here my goal is to get full combo points so I can open with a big flag. I have no Agipot, but basically we're gonna flag, Rupture, Shuriken, Tornado, and then press all of our cooldowns, and then we alternate between Shadow Strike and Eviscerate. And I probably should be using my Trinket here. I think maybe I'm greeding. The Trinket would be great to use here. Like, it's gonna do at least 50,000 damage. But I don't know why I held it. Honestly, that Trinket probably shaves like 1 or 2 key levels off of that ad in terms of HP. So we have one more that we need to do. So I actually kind of just AFK for a second. I look for the totem and I see it in the back right. So that's where we're gonna go. And the next the next minute or so is like more of the same. I'm actually just gonna skip ahead a little bit. And at this point, we can freely send cooldowns because all of us are going to be going to the same platform. And and then we'll be in good shape. But yeah, at this point it's pretty much on rails. We're just all gonna run in here, and I'm just gonna blow cooldowns here. Like, we just gotta kill this guy. Although I do have flag coming up. And I decided to cloak there because I was kind of standing in and it was getting a little bit close. But yeah, overall, I mean, while we're wrapping up, I'll just say that the 4-piece is a ton of fun. You definitely get a lot of extra damage, a lot of extra resources, and it gives you just like more to pay attention to. Like, it's very easy to overcap on resources with the 4-piece bonus. So paying close attention and reacting to procs is the name of the game, and it's something that I'm still not very good at. So definitely continuing to work on that myself. Oh, there was the overlap with the Master of Death and Soul Crusher. It almost one-banged our tank. So at this point we're just like, we're laughing, we're having a good time in Discord, because, you know, the key is all but over. And we almost get one-banged. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you enjoy the content, please consider subscribing and liking the video. It really helps me out, lets me know you're enjoying the content, and it helps me reach more people on YouTube. So really do appreciate that. And let me know in the comments if there's anything you'd like to see done differently in these videos, or you know, just any suggestions at all. I'm always looking for ways to improve the videos or the gameplay. So definitely don't be shy and let me know what you think. Good luck out there.